Hello everyone, this is Harmony. I'm in Perth in central Scotland and welcome to another book review video. Today I'm going to do a book review on Lokdown by Peter May. Now this book, because of the topic and because of publishers just being publishers, it was actually rejected by any number of publishers when Peter May first wrote the book back about 15 years or so before it was published. And so it got forgotten about and left in a drawer or in a virtual folder somewhere or wherever. And so it was not actually published until a couple of months into the start of the COVID-19 lockdown thingies in 2020, sorry. Well, to get into the story, so in the story, London is in quarantine for a flu virus, and so essentially nobody is allowed to go anywhere or do anything without the appropriate permissions. And one of the main characters, Detective Inspector Jack McNeil, is tasked with solving a murder that has just taken place. And he is retiring from being a police person, so he can take care of his son, or at least spend more time with him. And so he's trying to solve this murder within the last 24 hours of him being a detective inspector or investigating. Inspector. Well, at the start of the story, in order to set the scene, you see the little girl who's a murder victim. You see her last moments of her life, and the person who killed her is actually the one who brought her from China to England in the first place, which is sad. And of course, at the time, at the start of the story, you don't understand why he did that. Now, the story goes that a young man is tasked with boiling the bones and removing any flesh, etc. So there's just a skeleton to dispose of, and he does that, and the person who works at the crematorium is asked to take in the skeleton of this murdered girl, and just because he works there and whatever, but he was not able to do so. So the remains are left in a backpack holdo thing where they're found on a building site the next day, and therefore Jack McNeil is called in to investigate the murder because the police don't know why the person was murdered, or at this stage who they are. So as the investigation goes on, there's two pathologists, one of whom is McNeil's girlfriend, Amy, and the other is a friend of Amy's, Tom. And Tom does not approve of Amy and McNeil having a relationship because he thinks that McNeil is homophobic towards him, which he isn't. But that being beside the point, they uncover more clues about about the girl and her life before she was murdered, and eventually, as the story goes on, all the people who have anything to do with the crime are shot and killed by this young man, Pinky, who's the one who boiled the bones. And because he stays out of sight for the most part, or because he otherwise leaves no trace, he is not detected. And so essentially you have this stream of corpses which are needing autopsies, and no one knows what's going on or why, and so on. Also, in the midst of all this, McNeil ends up losing his son to this flu thing. His son passes away, and he goes to talk to his boss about it, and essentially the boss doesn't pick up on it until later on. So he's expected in the meantime to carry on with his day just as normal. Well, the other thing that the story does while all this murder investigation is going on is that it jumps between the relationship of McNeil and Amy, how they met and so on, and then also tells you about how McNeil met his estranged wife and how they got together and eventually separated, leading up to where he now lives, which is on the complete opposite side of London. Well, not quite, but it might as well be. And I guess the budgies are making an appearance. well, eventually it comes out right at the end of the investigation, just as McNeil is nearing the end of his final shift, that the little girl was intentionally infected with the flu and put to school and other activities, and to make sure that the other kids and anyone else that she came into contact with would also get the flu virus. And so that is how the whole epidemic started in the first place. And the little girl who originally was given the flu had actually recovered before she was killed, but they didn't want her to go telling everyone that she had recovered, and so the person who was supposed to be looking after her decided that that was a good enough reason to commit a crime. Now, I normally don't read crime fiction books. Well, at least I normally did not read crime fiction books until last year. This was the first Peter May book that I read, and it only took me a month to read it because I was reading other things at the same time. But when I was reading it continuously, I found it was one of those books that you just can't put down. Now, the sad bit at the end is that, massive spoiler alert, sorry, but McNeil ends up also getting either the flu or another similar virus, and he can't use the flu kill medication because he gave it to his wife, well, a strange wife, who flushed it away. So yeah, that is how that story ends, really. And the only ones left after all that are McNeil and Amy, because everyone else, including Tom, the other pathologist, who's Amy's friend, and a young trainee in the lab that they work in, are all shot and killed. So, yeah. But it's one of those cases that no one gets prosecuted for because all the people involved, including the person that did the crime, actually gets killed, and Pinky, the guy that did the boiling of the bones, he gets into a car crash and He also passes away as a result of his injuries within a couple of hours of the crash. Overall, though, as gory and weird as it is, I thought it was a very well written book, and I would greatly recommend it to people. I hope you enjoyed this video or found it interesting. If you did, you can feel free to like or comment or both, or subscribe to my channel or share it with your friends. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.